What's up? It's called Bone. I don't know if that helps. It's in Massachusetts. That's interesting. I've not heard of it. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing? It's been a minute. It's been about a week. As some of you know, last week I was MIA. I was taking care of some family, spending time with family. And some of the stuff that I was going to announce then, I'm going to have to announce today. Meat Butter. What's up, dude? How are you? By the way, I have a new attachment or a new extension called Truffle for YouTube. People's names are all just gray, so it's hard for me to distinguish between everybody. So forgive me if I'm not like addressing you right away, but welcome everybody. So yeah, a couple things I want to announce at the top of this, like I do every stream. First, merch. If you guys want to get your merch in before World Cup, I think you still can. Not sure it'll get there on time at this point, but anybody who has purchased merch already, it is being processed. I need to follow up with Daizana and see where it's at exactly. Probably I need to ask him about tomorrow and see what's going on. But as I've said, it usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks. So for anybody who has ordered, merch or anything like that, just beware. It's about that time. When is World Cup? It's the 10th through the 12th, I believe. Yes, November 10th through 12th. So it's coming up. It's right around the corner. What are you guys shooting at Cup? I assume that's a question for chat. I am not playing World Cup. And I do have another announcement that I'll share with you in just a second. So yeah, get your merch in if you want to get it before World Cup. It might be a little tight. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm not sure it'll be able to get there on time. But thanks to everybody who has purchased so far, so I appreciate it. Tonlo, what's up, buddy? How are you? The next thing, as always, if you guys are watching the stream right now live currently, please hit the like button. It does help me out a lot. I have 18 people in here. It'd be awesome if we get 18 likes in the stream. The other thing is, guys, I wish I had a more intense Zoom. Guys, listen. I have retired from playing paintball. I have retired from playing... Oh, I'm going to mess up the focus. There we go. I have retired from playing competitive paintball. Now, what does that mean for me, for the channel, my involvement with paintball? Well, first, don't be worried. I am still going to be very involved with paintball. I'll explain to you the reasons why, so on and so forth. But, and I actually could probably just tell the story of like kind of what happened and the reasons for that. Sorry, it's getting really hot all of a sudden. Oof. So, as some of you know, like this year's been really weird for our team, for Bro Army. Just because this was the year that we were going to take a break and kind of relax. The only major event we had scheduled was ICC, and that was like a super botched event. But we decided to take a break because everybody got really burnt out in the 2021 season with how much travel we did, how much money we spent, so on and so forth. And so we decided to take a break this season, and that was totally fine. We all were in agreement on that. But what started to happen was just we tried to get back onto the field at about like February-ish. And the way that our schedule changed from last year to this year was that last year we were going to practice every single Saturday at a private field. Walk on warrior status. So yeah, you're right, Meat Butter. No one ever really leaves. And Tonlo, you're exactly right. So we have a private field, so every single Saturday we were practicing, except for major holidays, and in some cases that wasn't true. Like we've practiced the last like 2 or 3 Halloweens, which is pretty rough. So we were practicing a lot and traveling a lot, and it just got to be a lot. And so starting this year, we thought we need to change something because we're all getting really burnt. We're not able to spend pretty much any Saturdays with our family. Like I mean, I practiced probably like 45 Saturdays last year. And so we decided we were going to move to like an every other Saturday schedule. And we teased the idea of doing two days. So every other weekend we do Saturday, Sunday. Well, the problem is like I have church on Sunday, and it's not just like I go to church and I sit there and I stare. I actually like I'm involved in my church. So like I have responsibilities that I can't really just like skip 2 times a month. And so Anyway, so Sundays don't really work for me. And I had told our coach, like straight up, I just said, hey, if we move to every other weekend, just know I can't really be there on Sundays except for when we have scrimmages, or obviously we have tournaments or out of state practices. And so he was under, he understood that. But then when we started to try to actually do these every other Saturday practices, I kid you not, it first was the snow hadn't melted, which if you guys know anything about Bro Army, we practice in the snow. Like, especially if we go to the paintball combine, we're practicing in December, January, February, and we're freezing our butts off, but we will practice in the snow. So it wasn't really that. It's just that the field that we practice on sometimes is inaccessible. And so like you literally can't get on it depending on the weather. And so our field was totally inaccessible January, February. It might have been accessible February, but we were taking a break. We didn't have any tournaments we were trying to prepare for in March, so it didn't really make any sense to practice, January. But then when it came time to practice, our field was totally inaccessible for almost the entire month of March. It was it was inaccessible the days we tried to access it on April. And by the time we tried to get onto it in May, the field had flooded. So in that time frame, the field was snowed on. It was flooded. The grass was too tall, and we had to schedule an entire day to work on it. And right when we were going to do that, it flooded again because the irrigation pipe broke. And then there was like one other time in this year where so like in the beginning of the year, the irrigation pipe broke, and later in the middle of the year, the freaking son-in-law of the property owner like flooded it, not knowing that we were trying to practice. And it was like, and we're talking flooded. If you guys are on the Discord server, you've seen me post pictures of what our field looked like. And so by the time we actually go to practice, it's like May. That's the first practice that we have in the entire year is May. And the field is like, I'm not kidding. The grass was up to your knees, and it was the entire field. So we had to mow all that grass. A lot of our bunkers had holes in them because of the field rats that were in the tall brushes and stuff. And so we didn't even have like a full field anymore. And there was a lot of like, our coach essentially rebuilt the entire electrical wire fencing because there's cattle that graze on our property. And so we had to like redo that whole thing. And it was just an absolute nightmare. And so people especially our coach was like super burnt out. And we were trying to help, but like the field is an hour away from me on like good traffic days. On bad traffic days, it's like an hour and a half, which for some of you is not anything at all. But it's really hard for me to get away. Like, I work every day. Whoever's on the Discord server already knows. But it's really hard for me to leave like after work because I'm committing my entire evening to that. And so I can't really leave like early. And if I leave at 5, I don't get to the field till like 6:30. And then I've got like an hour, maybe an hour and a half worth of daylight. And then I drive back, and that's my entire day. I don't even get to see my son. And so it doesn't really work for me to go during the day. But anyway, the whole point is coach was getting super burnt out. He was feeling like the field that all this time and energy that we put into this field wasn't really being utilized, which again, we kind of all agreed that we were taking a lackadaisical approach to this year, but it just was way less than what he was expecting. And so by the time ICC came, or was approaching, we kind of had conversations about like, what are we going to do after? Like, are we even going to keep the field? Are we going to just get rid of the field, chop down our squad to like the core guys, and then just practice very little in state, but travel mostly out of state? Like, those are some of the questions that we were talking about. And so what ended up happening was ICC was a great event, but overall it was poorly ran. You guys already know, but it was the weirdest thing. Right when I landed in New York, I had this really strong feeling that I should be done playing. As you guys know, like I'm 30 years old. I've been playing since by the way, thank you everybody who's watching right now. If you guys could hit the like button, that'd be really awesome. I'd really appreciate it. But I've been playing tournament paintball since I was 14. Now, like most people, I've had gaps in between that time, right? But I played pretty much from 14 till about 18. Took a break, came back, or 17, took a break, came back at like 19 till 21-ish, took another break, and then came back when I was 25. And, or I guess it was like almost 26, and then played until, was I even that late? Maybe it was a little older. But yeah, I was like 27 or something, and then played until I was 30. So there's obviously been major gaps in that time frame, but it's, you know, like everybody knows, you don't really leave paintball. But I just had this, I just wanted to, I didn't want to travel anymore without my family if I could help. And I also, you know, I've got a 2.5-year-old son. You know, when my wife and I start trying for kids in the future, like, I just don't want to be so involved with paintball that I'm missing them all the time. And we can't really afford to fly that many times in a year, all of us, right? And so anyway, I just had this really strong impression that I should not play anymore. And I felt okay about that, right? Some people might be thinking like, what the heck, man, or whatever, you do all this paintball stuff for YouTube. But the part of the motivating factor for that was that if I don't have to worry about practices and every single Saturday, and, you know, essentially half of my day on Saturday every other weekend would be gone for paintball. If I can, you know, I couldn't even have days to like wash my car. Like, Saturdays are great days for that, and I couldn't even do that like throughout all of 2021. But if I could have that time back and be able to focus more on education, teaching people, coaching, you know, videos, projects that I'm working on for this channel, then, and still be obviously super involved, and possibly even more so, then that's worth it to me. So for me, but for me, I just felt like I can do a lot more good for the channel, for maybe paintball in general, for this community, if I don't have to worry about playing and traveling and spending the money and resources on that, and instead reappropriate some of that towards the channel. So that's some of the exciting news that I have, is that part of the reason why you've seen, like, you know, that video that I talked about forever that finally got posted, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Tournament Paintball. For some of you who've been around for a while, that video has been in the works for like 5 months. And it was partly, I mean, mostly a lack of motivation. I had finished the script a long time ago, but I just was like not really sure if the title really matched up for the video itself. But in any case, I finally, you know, with talking to my wife, we felt comfortable about appropriating the funds that I was putting towards Paintball Monthly towards creating this video. And so I now, like, I'm going to have a budget that I can work with to make these videos and to help get more videos out. And so, you know, I'm trying to like build those processes right now. So it's a bit of a more, it's more of a smooth process than it is now. But the hope is that I'll get more videos out than I have been in the past, because yeah, when life is good, it's easy to get videos out. But when life has just been kind of like turbulent, and not that anything bad's happening in my life, everything's fine, but it's just been tough to find the motivation and to do that. So anyway, that's a positive for you guys. Okay. I'll have more time to help people on the Discord server, more time to be making videos, more time to be coaching and stuff, and so on and so forth. So that is the reason why I'm retiring. Okay. Shortly after, well, right after ICC, I got dropped officially by Bro Army, and I've only been mentioning dude, Tonlo, I don't know why there it is. Okay, dude, thank you. Dude, thank you so much, Tonlo. I appreciate it, buddy. Dude, you're a real homie. For those of you guys don't know, Tonlo Carlton was like one of the coolest, most amazing people. If you're at World Cup, you should definitely meet up with him and I at some point. So anyway, so my hope was originally with this transition from retiring from playing was that I could help coach Bro Army. Not that coach isn't capable, but our coach is a very, very good manager and logistics guy. He's incredible at that. Like, he spent 20 plus years in the military doing logistics. So he's absolutely the best guy for that. And he's also a good manager of people. The only thing he struggles with, in my opinion, which we've talked about at length, I hope that if he sees this isn't a surprise to him that I'm saying this, but some of the challenge that comes from being a coach who hasn't played is just that you don't have those repetitions that help you understand like the processes as like a front player and as a mid player. He's observed it a lot, and you don't have to have played to be a good coach. I mean, there's a lot of like professional basketball coaches that have never played, or at least played very little in high school. But the whole idea is just that it can be difficult to do all of those things. It can be difficult to be a manager, to be the logistics guy, and to be the guy who's like coming up with like really deep diving into layouts and analyzing them. And so my original proposition to Bro Army was to say, hey, like, let me take a step back. Let me still travel, like go to practices, go to tournaments. Obviously I'm not spending money on paint, but like I can help the team in that way. I can scout, I can come up with these breakouts that I've been sharing with you guys, or even, you know, crazier ones or whatever. And I can just be that extra resource. And they kind of thought about it for a bit. And then when they came back, they said, well, we're going to close the field down, and it doesn't, and the time from now until when we do, people just want to play points. That's all they really care to do. So there's no real reason for you to come to practice. And that's kind of what happened. So it ended up being that I was really hoping that things would turn out that way, that I'd be able to spend this time not playing, helping the team, because that's kind of always been the thing I've been on the fence about, is just the fact that, hey, by the way, 33 people watching right now, thank you so much. Please hit the like button. We've only got 18 likes, 33 people watching. You guys will help me out a lot if you hit that like button. But one of the challenges was just, even when I came back, right when I came back in 2019, I was really on the fence about like wanting to help the team and just take a step back and coach versus playing. But it became very apparent that like the team really wanted me to play. And so that's what I ultimately did. And obviously I learned a lot. I mean, this channel would not have existed without me playing that season of semi-pro. Because it gave a lot of legitimacy to the channel, even though that's not really like, my whole point is like, just evaluate the things that I say based on their merits, like rather than if I play pro or semi-pro or whatever. I get asked that question a lot, which is totally fine, but it's also like I really was hoping to get past that point, right? And I think playing that season of semi-pro also just gave me a lot of invaluable insight. It gave me a lot of opportunities to practice against lots of pro players and pro teams. Obviously, in that time frame, I also did a lot of pro clinics and stuff. So this channel literally would not have existed if I had dropped or not played during the 2021 season specifically. So I'm super grateful for that in general. But so yeah, now that I don't know what's going on with Pro Army, I'm not really in the inside anymore with that camp, but I know that at least last I heard, like kind of the core guys like Brandon, Christian, and Sage were all kind of trying to figure out what they wanted to do. I know Christian, last I spoke, was still wanting to just be a young adult, I guess. It sounds funny to say it that way, but like, he's into exercising and he's into girls and cars and stuff. And so, I mean, actually, he probably wouldn't appreciate me saying he's into girls because he's kind of like too cool for that. But so he's not like dying to play. He's kind of just enjoying his life right now. He's living on his own. He's working a lot. So there was a lot of question about what we would do for next year. And that's another thing. When we finished ICC, or just before we were going to finish ICC, we got reached out to by Corey Field of Seattle Thunder and was asked if we could come scrimmage them. I think it was before, in prep for Windy City. I don't think it was in prep for World Cup. I could be wrong. But we were asked to come up and scrimmage them because they really enjoy us and we really enjoy them. We always have super productive scrimmages. But obviously we weren't prepping for the same tournament. But coach nonetheless said like, hey, I want us to take this really seriously. I want us to take this as if it's like, the Sunday finals or whatever, because I want to give them the best possible practice that Bro Army can give. And so he was like, all right, that means we got to re-up on our conditioning. We got to like refocus our attention. We got to, take these next 3 months from when that was happening to when the scrimmage was to take it really seriously. And that was like kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't want to like let myself go, but like I'm also not really in the position emotionally to like commit myself to re-upping my conditioning and commitment. So anyway, so there was talks that like Christian was really excited. Sage was excited, but he's dealing with like being a brand new parent, owning a home, just starting his own business. And then Brandon also started his own business. And like, I think he was preparing to engage or get engaged. Anyway, so like we were then talking about, well, what's next year going to look like? And that was a huge toss up. It was a huge toss up as to whether or not Christian would still be around, whether Sage would commit to playing paintball or if he'd just like switch entirely to focusing on his business, what I would do. Obviously the big reason I was wanting to take a step back initially was because I wanted to save money for a house. And so anyway, that's all to say that there was a lot of up in the air. Like, I don't know what the plan's going to be. And so it ended up being that we just like, I didn't want to be in a position where I spent the rest of the year, like kind of what I did in 2021. Well, that's not true. I didn't really do it in 2021, but like, kind of the whole hope is that Christian would always come back to play with us, especially because he didn't have the greatest experience at Ironman. Not that there's anybody wrong with Ironman. He really liked those people, but it wasn't like he was practicing with, his bros. Like it is what it is, right? It was, he did a lot of traveling. It was a job, so on and so forth, right? So he got burnt out, and he was wanting to come back to play with us, but he was wanting to come back on his own terms, which at least that's from what I understood. And that's no problem at all. Like, he has every right to do that. It's he and Brandon's team, so he has every right to do that. But it just kind of was hard for me to be like, well, I'm not sure I'm in a place anymore emotionally to like re-up my commitment to that, especially because we did it last year, and it really would have been nice if he was there last year, because I think we could have had a good shot at least, making it out of prelims by the end of the year if he was there for the entire season, and there even towards the end of 2019. But obviously that was, he was taking a step back from Ironman. But anyway, the whole hope was that that was 2020, excuse me. So the whole hope was that we could make a real good run in semi-pro with him there, we could have regardless. I think we could have regardless if we didn't have such high turnover on our squad. But in any case, it is what it is. We got kind of burnt out because of it, and that's the reason why. So that's all to say, as far as, because I've had people ask me like, hey, when's the next Barrel Cam video coming out, so on and so forth. What I would really like to do is I would like to work with people. I'm thinking of Matt the Gym Rat and a few others. I haven't reached out to anybody yet, but I would like to work with people to have people send in footage and for me to make a video based on that. I could travel, depending on what's happening, maybe I travel next year to some practices and let people use the Barrel Cam that I have, or practice, just kind of planking around, I guess. I don't know. But come out to different fields next year and play, maybe run a clinic or so, whatever. And I think that would be fun to have recorded footage of that and use that, because certainly I could too. I could play at my local field. It's just not the same, right? Like, a lot of the value from Barrel Cam footage comes from the fact that people, hold on. Remove. I need to get more moderators in this chat. Yeah, see, there you go. See, Dan, I'd love Barrel Cam footage from you. I would absolutely love that. But there's a lot of people that I think would be willing to share that, and that I could make video footage out of that and share it. So that's kind of the idea. But as far as everything else is concerned, I'm still here. I'm still committed to the channel. I'm still thinking about paintball, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's the first thing we had to get out of the way. So yeah, retired. So yes, your ranked paintball edition. Yeah, I think you've mentioned that before, J-Tunes, but it would be kind of fun to have people, I want to get the community more involved. It's just really hard to get footage of yourself, right? It's one thing for video games because you can just set up recording software, no problem, but it's really hard to get people to get recorded footage of themselves, and then no less to send that to me for me to criticize them. So but the whole, it would be fun to have a segment on the stream where I people send in clips and I guess what division you play or something like that, right? That would be kind of fun. But anyway, so absolutely, next chapter. What kind of footage are you talking about? Pro practice / tourneys? Not necessarily. I think scrimmage footage would probably be my bare minimum. I don't really, obviously I wouldn't care for practice footage of just drills and stuff, but I think for footage of you scrimmaging a team where it's somewhat of an organized structure, even if it's a scrimmage day, but you're scrimmaging different teams and so on and so forth, that's beautiful. That's perfect. I wouldn't care for walk-on games because there's just no real value there, right? The skill difference and your ability to get kills or to push up the field is just, it's so easy because the people that you're playing aren't really playing coordinated, right? So anyway, my kids are grown, 20 and 14, so the wife and I just practice a lot. Anyways, didn't expect this. Carlton Lewis is 100% legit, my main man, mayonnaise. Compared to pro players, how big is your paintball IQ in your opinion? How big is my paintball IQ according to my opinion? I don't know, man. I feel like it's just like a wiener measuring contest at that point. I think the way I would answer that is I'm always very appreciative of people like Dan Halliday and at times Ronnie, but that was a very short interaction. But I'm always very appreciative of those people, chiming in and saying like, that's 100% right, or I agree with that, or even at times when they disagree with it, but they see, you know, the reasons why I'm saying what I'm saying. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, obviously, I think the obvious there's so many obvious differences between me and a pro player, but like, I think in terms of just like strict strategy, I think the difference between me and a pro player that has a lot of experience is just that they will have a lot of they have a lot of intuition that I don't, right? So there's a lot of situations where they can give specific strategy or specific principles based on the team that they're playing against, and obviously I can't do that. I can't tell you this strategy will work against New York Extreme for X, Y, and Z reason, because I just don't have that experience. But that's not really the territory I'm like trying to get in, because I'm not coaching pro teams, right? The teams that I'm trying to help are beginner up to Division 2, possibly even semi-pro. Semi-pro is kind of like tough because most of what I'm telling you is from that perspective, or at least trying to. So I think a lot of what I share is very insightful and very new to people between, you know, beginner and Division 3 even. Maybe less so Division 3, but there's a lot of stuff that I have learned in my experience playing against, you know, lots of different teams that I think are valuable. But yeah, that's all to say that like I don't. It always makes me uncomfortable when I have to like measure my knowledge or skills or anything against pro players, because I just don't have that. I don't have the ability to do that. So let's see. His paintball IQ, at least watching videos and chatting with him over the last year or two, is I say is pretty good. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. I've watched the majority of his guides and they definitely have taught me a lot. That's awesome, Mackie. Thank you, buddy. Was he on U19 team? I think I saw him. Yeah. So Christian and Brandon were both on U19. I got a chance to talk to Matt at Chicago. Great guy. You did. That's awesome. That's way cool. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with chat here, and then we'll get into some other stuff in just a second. If I find myself an airball field, I'll send you stuff. Sounds good, dude. Do you want to talk? Wait. Do you want to talk to someone from Revo? I can make it happen. Dude, yeah, I would love footage of anybody on Revo. Absolutely. The one, I will tell you, the better footage, in my opinion, is honestly the number 3. The number 3 has some of the best barrel cam footage out there, because it is almost nonstop footage of just shots. And that's one thing I noticed when the first time I played against Seattle Thunder, in that first video I made compared to the second one that I made, was the challenge, was that a lot of the footage that I had was of my gun down running, you know, off the break or whatever the case is. And so, but like from the moment that a point starts, the number 3 has a lot of really interesting stuff happen, and you have a lot better of an idea of what's going on, because, you know, you can see if you tiger somebody out on that side of the field, right? Whereas the number 1 can't always see that. So absolutely, dude, I would love to have barrel cam footage of people on Revo. That would be amazing. That would be a great interview. Yeah, I'd also love to interview. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done interviews in a minute. The thing that's tough is that people, and it's obviously like preference, right? People prefer Maddie Marshall or Play the Game podcast or whatever over me, which is totally fine. But like, I've just found that the interview market is really saturated in paintball. It feels like, so it's hard to interview somebody and have something different to say. But because all the interviews that I've ever had with people are based on like a genuine connection beforehand, right? Maybe with the exception of Ronnie, except for that Ronnie reached out to me. Or no, that's not true. I don't remember who reached out to who, but like Ronnie had said that he really liked my videos and that he and Stella would watch them together. And that blew me away and instantly created this connection. And so to me, it was really easy to interview him, but I don't know anybody else. I don't know a lot of people on other teams. So it's hard to know like what kind of questions I would ask. Anyway, what camera do you use for your Braille cam? I use a GoPro Hero 9, I believe. So I bet I can get Chris or Steven to join you on a stream. Dude, that would be amazing. So since you are retired, let's build some more connections. Let's make it happen. Dude, I'm absolutely down. Okay. I think that's everything, guys. So let's, I guess the only other thing to say is if you guys are prepping for a tournament and you need help, or you want you want me to look at the layout that you're playing on or whatever. So as you guys know, like I don't usually cover layouts on stream unless they're larger regional or national events. To name a few, it would be like MVPS, NRPL, though that's not as big. TSXL, WCPPL, a lot of those kind of bigger regional event tournaments. I usually cover those, or I'm willing to cover those on stream. But any other local events, it doesn't make sense for me to cover that on stream. So if you find yourself wanting my assistance and something like that, the easiest way to do it is to schedule a coaching session. Okay. Depending on the demand, I might have to change the price, but right now, and I'm even hesitant to say it because I might get flooded, in which case I would have to change the pricing. But right now, I only charge $40 an hour to review the layout, essentially like what I do on stream. But I'm a lot more interactive, obviously, because I'm with you guys. So I'll ask you questions, especially if you practiced the layout once already. I'll ask you, how did it go? What did you learn? So on and so forth. And then I usually ask for at least 2 hours, but not in one sitting. But the second hour is where we really we create the breakouts. We analyze what went wrong, what didn't, what went right. And then I try to just create some breakouts that you guys can practice before the tournament to then iron out things a little bit more, more finely. But if you guys have ever seen me do any of those breakout sheets or whatever, that's kind of what it looks like, except it's just in person. It's, over a Discord private call. So if you want help, even if it's a major event, if it's the World Cup, whatever, you can definitely reach out and schedule that with me. But, just know that I'm also going to be providing anybody who's a member of the channel or a subscriber over on my Twitch channel. If you're either of those, I'll be sharing the breakouts that I create for World Cup in that channel. And obviously I would love feedback, right? I want to have them created before you guys go to practice the layout, and then whatever feedback you hear or whatever feedback you have to give, please give it and I'll adjust the breakouts as needed. But anyway, so that's the other way that you can get help from me if it's if you need help on a layout that I don't cover on stream. So all right, we've talked almost for an hour, so I think it's time to actually do something. Word. And our tournament this Sunday, pumped. Oh, is it really? Then maybe this layout review won't be as valuable. So yeah, I always prefer to do maybe I'm confused actually. Maybe that was sent at the right time. Last layout for the year. It doesn't have a date on it. I was going to review the NRPL layout tonight. But if it's coming this weekend, it's not going to be very valuable, because one of the things I don't like is to review a layout for the very first time when there's already 2 weekends worth of practices on it, because there's just not a lot of value at that point. Mostly what I come up with is hypotheticals, and then give you guys things to try and tell me. And then if you've already tried that, then it's like, well, whatever. Okay. So what we're going to do for the remainder of the stream, we're going to watch a match, and then we'll watch a match from Windy City, and then we'll look at this layout depending on how things are going. So if there's a match in particular you guys want me to watch, you're welcome to ask. I don't have any match in particular. I just literally pulled up Go Sports on YouTube, and I'm just going to watch a match, and kind of people had asked me on my Discord server to review a match and give my insights as to what went wrong, what went right, or just analyze it in general. So we'll probably do that for a little bit, but your NXL winning coach. Yeah, it's Connor. It got rained out pretty hard. Most teams didn't practice it. Oh, interesting. First time catching you live. Let's go. As a question, what are your thoughts on sponsorships at the D5 level? Alan, first of all, welcome. And sponsorships at the D5 level, do you mean as in what are my thoughts about teams pursuing sponsorships? Or because I personally don't think there's any, it'd be hard. So here's how I would look at sponsorships generally. Diesel matches would be good. Okay, I'll take a look at diesel matches. This is the last race event for the season, and then there's the X-Ball for D5. Oh, okay. Diesel played some of the best teams ball across the field, or across the board. Wait, when are you going to bring Tonlo on stream? That's a good question. I need to bring him on stream. How do you feel about the Revo and A-Team merge? I actually didn't know that those teams merged, but that's awesome. That's really good. I think A-Team has a lot of potential, and I would be really curious to see what sort of value they can bring to Revo, especially if nothing else as a dedicated practice squad, or have several of those players be that. But okay, real quick, sponsor